Trying to see if there's a way for me to ride around the tree.
Workout pause.
Hit my head. So I'm riding around the tree fall. When I tell you can ride this bike anywhere, you can ride it anywhere. So, for my second video for Big Man Biking, I wanted to talk about some of the things that I think is important to have on a bike to support the bigger person. Thru-axles. I think thru-axles are very important. Let me get rid of my glasses. So, thru-axles are very important because they're thicker than quick release axles. Quick release axles have a much smaller axle and almost like a skewer. So that smaller axle, when you're going around corners, when I've had my last bike leaned over like this, going around corners, I could feel the wheels flexing on the axles. Mainly the front wheel, flexing on the axle, on the quick release, on the skewer. And that, I ain't gonna say it scares you, but you wonder how much flex can it take before it breaks. So both of the bikes I've purchased since then have had thru-axles. Thru-axles to me are one of the most important things you can have as a bigger or heavier rider. This bike has a, well, I was told in what it reads, a threaded bottom bracket. I started riding on my dad's bike. My dad's bike is a 30, actually I think like a 40-year-old Swin, and I bent the crank. And this one has a little bit of deflection in it from my weight and amount of force that I put through with my legs and riding. So I look for a bike with a threaded bottom bracket. My other bike, my hardtail mountain bike, has the SRAM, I believe it's a SRAM power spline. So I thought it had a threaded bottom bracket when I purchased it, but it did not. It had a SRAM power spline. And so far that one seems to be stiffer than this crank right here. I've had this crank serviced, lubed, and tightened up 3 or 4 times since I've purchased the bike. The bike now has over 1,100 miles on it, approaching 1,200 miles. So I have the bike serviced by the bike shop at least 2 or 3 times a year. What else? It's important to have excuse me, good contact points with the bike. Some good shoes, some good pedals where your feet doesn't slip off. Where you have good contact and good traction on the pedals and through the shoes if you're not using shoes that clip into the pedals. I'm learning a lot about bikes, so they refer to them as clip-ons or clip-ins or non-clip whatever. So I prefer flat pedals. Behind me is the steepest hill I've ridden on this bike, and this is the only hill. It's about an 1/8 mile, maybe almost a 1/4 mile long up, and it twists and turns and it's gravel, and I've done it twice on this bike and I've had to walk once. This is the only hill where I've wanted to have a lower gear for hill climbing, and because it's gravel, I guess it makes it harder if it, rather if it was paved. This is the end of the Northwest Branch Trail, and this begins a mountain bike trail which is up through there, and this is a hiking trail down through here. I'm gonna probably ride down there just a tad bit and then get on with my day. But I wanted to point out what I think is important for heavier riders. Thru-axles, they're stiffer,
65%.
threaded bottom bracket. I'm contemplating getting a bike with a carbon bike, a fully carbon bike. This bike has a carbon fork. I try to look at the weight capacity and what is the bike designed to hold. But that's pretty much all I have. I see the line, or at least the first half of it. I'm in the third to the lowest gear. See how it work out. Feet placement. Whoa! Lost the front end. But keep going. Ooh. Could have been better. I'm not going back for it. That was way above this bike's ability, or the tires' traction ability with that mud. 300 pounds in the sidewall going downhill. I should be glad I didn't fall. Or at least 150 on the front wheel.